I think that this is a good point to open up the chapter on Tantra,
Right.
because in many ways I feel like it's the nucleus of Sanatan Dharma. At least that's how I look at it.
Okay.
Um, but the word Tantra has unfortunately gotten a negative connotation in the public eye globally. How do you explain Tantra to someone who's never heard the word?
Tantra is a method of worship. Okay, fundamentally, like there is the Vedic methodology of worship. Tantra is also a way of approaching deities and worshipping. That's the simplest explanation of Tantra. In Lord Shiva mentions in the Tantras that in the Kali Yuga, the main Kali Yuga is the era, that the yuga that we are in, cycles of time, where because of the huge amounts of general level of corruption, both physical corruption as well as moral corruption, and not just moral, there is sound pollution, all these are corruptions. Okay, the quality of life degrades as the yugas pass by, and in this era, the easiest way and the most suitable way for human beings to connect to the deities, and the fastest way also, by the way, not just the easiest, fastest way to connect to deities, same deities, is following the methodology of upasana given by the tantras and the agamas. Okay, so he says very clearly the Vedic methods will recite backwards, and it is the tantras that will come in the forefront and will become very popular. Now,
The agamas and the
agamas are
tantras.
texts,
Okay,
okay,
got you.
related, close related to tantras. Okay, so it comes like a transmission. It's Shiva who gives this. It comes to the rishis. From the rishis it passes down to great masters. They codify this into texts, and then we have various sampradayas of tantra. Now, we are, to give you an example, in the traditional reckoning of time, we are in 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga extends up to a huge amount of time. This is not even 5% of the total span of time. This is the traditional reckoning. There are many people these days who claim that Kali Yuga is over and all that. I'm not getting into that. Traditional Hinduism considers this is just the tip of the Kali Yuga. So there is much more level of corruption and degradation of the human race and society in general that is yet to come in going ahead. Okay. In this, today in India, the most popular of all religious festivals, Hindu festivals, is the Navratras, if you look at it that way. Okay, it's one of the biggest festivals. It is followed across India. Yeah, the method of following may be different. In North India, you follow it for 9 days. In Bengal side, we do the Durga Puja for 4 days, things like that. But Navratra is a very, very key ritual that is followed, or perhaps the most popular ritual right now. And the whole germination, the basis of Navratras are somewhere from Devi Upasana in the Tantras, whether it is the Tantric Puranas or the Tantra actual Tantric texts. By Tantric Purana, I mean the Kalika Purana and all that, texts like that. So that is where, so in a way, the prediction that Lord Shiva gives, he's not saying, he's not arguing, he's making a statement, a prediction that in the Kali Yuga, it is the Tantras that will be the primary method of Upasana. It has already started happening. When the method, so people do Devi Upasana during Navratras, but is it coming from the Vedas? No. The germination of the Upasana of Devi, in whatever manner they're doing, is coming from the Tantras. So Tantra is already becoming mainstream without people realizing it. And it's just a matter of time when Tantra, and I firmly believe that in the coming decades, in its truest form, will become like a de facto religion, a de facto dharmic path in Hinduism among masses. It is a thing that's time has come, and there are forces which are aligned strongly in this manner, and it is going to happen. It's not dependent on A or B individual, but it is like the thing that is time has come.
You're saying most Hindus are going to adopt tantric practices.
Method, some of the other tantric method of upasana of deities.
What is a very basic tantric upasana that is being followed already?
Navratra, for example, when you're doing the mantras, say you're doing the Navarna mantra, which is one of the mantras of Devi, most popular mantra of Ma Durga, which is like widely practiced across uh, India, though there are restrictions in terms of there is a guru and all that needed, but even without that also I've seen innumerable people chanting the Navarna mantra across. So it is its popularity has skyrocketed. It is a mantra that comes from the tantras. It's a tantric mantra. Vija mantras.
Okay.
Vija mantras are seed mantras. Tantra is this concept that from a deity, his energy, his or her energy can be encapsulated in a sound formation which does not have a specific meaning. But as you keep repeating that specific sound, and the repetition has, it has its other rules also along with it. When those rules are followed, it's sufficiently chanted, which could be in lakhs and lakhs, by the way, following certain rules, it starts manifesting just like a seed develops into a tree. So it starts manifesting the energy of the deity inside that individual. That is a Vija mantra. This very concept comes from the tantras.
Okay. An average Hindu who's staying in South Mumbai or South Delhi, um, they say they're waking up to Hinduism again. But the word Tantra as well as the phrase tantric practices seem a little too far away for them from their heart. Right? Are they doing any practices right now by going for puja, by doing the puja? Is that tantric in any way?
It could be. It could be. At least it is Puranic. Puranic means the 5 tattvas that we are giving. It comes from the various Puranas and all that. But there is an overlap with the Tantras. Overlap automatically happens when you are using the mantras. For example, there are, along with when you are offering the 5 tattvas, there are basic mantras with which you offer. Those mantras have bijas. Vijas are all tantric. In fact, Ganpati tantras are innumerable. There is a vija, there is a Shadakshari, 6 akshara mantra of Ganpati. The texts say that you have to imagine Ganpati like a wild elephant in mast. Okay, mast means when when an elephant is in sexually excited state. Okay, that kind of. And there are other iconographic descriptions of the image and things like that, etc. With a certain sankalpa. Sankalpa is before you start, you make a promise to the deity. I'm going to do this amount of japa. 6 lakh japa of that mantra within a certain phase of period of time. If it is done, along with that, there are fire rituals. It will bring about a tremendous experience of Ganpati.
Okay. So there's one version of praying as a Hindu where you sit in front of your temple, pray, you do a puja, you chadhao prasad, you chadhao flowers. This is what we've inherited from our parents and our grandparents.
Yeah.
And now someone's watching this Rajarshi Nandy podcast and thinking to themselves, hey, I kind of want to take up tantric practices because they're perhaps a sharper, faster way of going about spiritual growth in the path that we know as Sanatan Dharma.
Right.
Any of the deities in their house, in their mandir, say they have a Ganpati Murti, they have a Hanumanji, they have a Krishna Bhagwan. Each of these, just like any other Hindu deity, has a form of tantric practice associated with it. But in order to take it up, you need to be guided by a guru.
Right.
How do you find a guru?
How do you find a guru is the toughest question. There are no easy answers to it. So, until you find a guru, what do you do?
Yeah.
That is the most important question. So, until you find a guru, you still do practices which are allowed to be done without a guru. So, dharma has been based like that. There are things that you can do. For example, just taking the name of Ganapati or the 108 names of Ashtottara Nama, we call it 108 names of a deity. So, Ashtottara Nama of Ganpati can be chanted by anybody.
Every deity has an Ashtottara.
Every deity. They have a Shastranama also, 1,000 names. Okay. And some deities will have multiple versions of the Shastranama.
So you have to just sit in one place.
Sit in one place, light a diya, sit calmly, clean clothes, take a bath if possible. Okay. Light a diya, one agarbatti, one incense or something that is fragrant. Chant those names. Say you do it for Ganpati, you do it say 5 times or 7 times and continue this for a few months. Don't break the pattern.
Every day.
Every day. It's going to create an energy, tremendous energy around you.
Okay. This is what you can do without having a guru in your life.
Yes, definitely. But Tantra by itself, for the sake of completion, Tantra, the mantra is only the first stage. So, as it becomes more advanced, more deeper, then you will need what is known as Diksha, initiation from a guru. And then Tantra bifurcates into multiple variations of Tantra. And this is where, since you did mention that in the West it is looked at as one thing and in India people have a negative connotation, why that comes in, and it's important to understand the context of it. So Tantra has, broadly speaking, 2 bifurcations. One is the Vamachar and the Dakshinachar. Dakshina means right, okay? The right hand path and the left hand path. Vamachara and Dakshinachara. In Dakshinachara, you worship the deity with all the methods, the Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, every. Tantra is the ritualistic practice of worship, Mantra is the mantras of the deity, okay?
The chants.
Chants. It could be multiple mantras. The Guru will give you the mantra of the deity, okay? Tantra, Mantra, and Yantra of the deity is a diagrammatic representation of the deity, okay? And of course, the method in which you worship, which your Guru will tell you, whoever is doing the Upasana. But you use only sattvic ingredients in the Upasana, which means that you use vegetarian ingredients and all that we consider as sattvic, okay? Mostly vegetarian, but also coconut water, fruit juices, this, that, etc. as offerings to the deity. Vamachara, the left hand path, is considered as per the tantras another path of upasana, and in the chronology of practice. So when we go to the oldest tantras like the Kularnava and all that, they mention that it is not a dichotomy between the right hand and the left hand path, but these are stages of progression. So a perfection in tantra sadhana, suppose there is two individual who has attained absolute perfection, and that may require lifetimes of practice. It is not about one lifetime. None of these are one lifetime practices, by the way. So Shiva says in the Kularnava that after you have mastered Dakshinachara, then you will have to enter into Vamachara, where you will offer 5 tattvas to the deity. 5 tattvas, the first thing that comes is sanctified alcohol. Okay, sanctified means with the help of mantras it is purified. Okay, it is transformed. Only then it can be offered. It's called karan. Okay, and then there is meat offering, there's fish offering, there's mudra, which is specific kind of grains, and then there's maithuna or sex, but that is also sanctified through mantras. It's not at all a normal physical interaction between a man and a woman. It's a different thing. But these idea, the philosophy behind it is that those things which you think are obstructions in the path, that which will degrade you, it is those that can also lift you and take you to the realm of the deity. One who has passed through both of these two paths and perfected them, Dakshinachara and the Vamachara, then has the next stage comes the Siddhantachara, which means that he has the right understanding of the world. Siddhanta means conclusion. His conclusion of the world, his conclusion of the deity, his conclusion of the tattvas, everything is perfected. And then the last stage comes is Kaulachara. Kaula means basically somebody who has, it's almost like he is one with the deity. There's no difference. In fact, Tantras also have another thing which they classify human beings in 3 categories. One is the Pashu. Pashu is an animal. Everybody is an animal at birth. Okay. By normal discourse, everybody is an animal. Once they take Diksha and start Tantra Sadhana, they become a Veera. Veera means one who is brave. Why is a Veera? Because he is fighting against his own natural tendencies, transforming them so that he becomes divine. And then the third stage is he becomes Divya or divine. So he says that one who is a Pashu, without initiation, they do the basic practices. It's only via initiation, Diksha. When the Diksha ceremony is performed, then he becomes a Veera. This Veera stage is where all the tantras and the texts come in. This is where you learn what to do, how not to do, how long you have to do. And Divya, the divine, is very rare. Once an individual reaches the stage of the divine, he or she need not follow rules. But that is only one in lakhs and lakhs may reach that stage. So we assume once Diksha is there that you are in the stage of the Veera, and then as per the Shastras, as per the command of the Guru, you do your practices according to your system. It is from this, the use of these 5 tattvas, that Tantra also gets misunderstanding among people comes in. Those who are conditioned to believe, for example, large portion of Hindus are conditioned to believe that upasana of a deity has to be only vegetarian offerings, only a sattvic environment. That is not always the case. I mean, in Eastern India, in temple like the Ma Tara's famous Tarapit temple, every day there's a fish that is offered to Ma Tara. There's meat that is offered. Bali that happens. Kamakhya temple it happens. Kali temples in across Bengal we offer these things to Ma. Where do we offer these things? So these are the method of offering that we can offer. These all comes from the Shastras. You, as I said, right at the beginning I was mentioning in this conversation that the Shastras are the final parameters. They tell you what to do, what not to do. So you follow things according to the Shastras and according to the Shastra of the deity. So when you are worshipping Tantrokta Upasana, which is the tantric method of worship of Tara, for example, Ugra Tara is being done, and you are offering meat, fish, etc., it is as per the texts. The texts have recommended this. There's no question about it. There's no question of why and what not and no. You can say that, okay, I don't want to do that. Fine. You take another method of worship. You worship some other deity maybe. You worship Krishna. For worshipping of Krishna, even in the tantric method, you don't offer anything non-vegetarian. You have to offer sattvic offerings, okay? But if you're doing this, so these rules are set. It is not based on anybody's whims and fancies. Okay, and these rules are set not from today, from the most perfected scriptures. So anybody who questions this automatically, in my view, becomes what is called a disbeliever, an astika. So somebody who does not have belief in the path will not benefit from the path. As I said, we are not a religion of where we propagate things. I'm not asking you that you have to do this, but if you have to do this, you have to do it this way. That has to be clear. Yes, there is Dakshinachara Tantra, as I mentioned. So there are a lot of people, say in Navratra time, who go vegetarian, which is all okay. These are also, there's that option is very clearly there in the text. But what you cannot do is that you cannot question that why am I offering fish to Tara every day in the Tarapit temple, because that is perfectly aligned with the Tantra Shastras. Your lack of knowledge cannot be the parameter for deciding how to worship the deity.
Perhaps if you yourself are passionate about being vegetarian, then choose not to go
Correct.
about Tara Upasana.
Or choose the method by which you can do a Satvik Upasana. So both methods are there. My point is that you should not question why it is being done, because it is as per the Shastras. Just like when you offer something Satvik to the deity like in Navratras, when Durga Upasana is done in many homes and people go completely Satvik, especially in North India, which is fine. But what you cannot do is you cannot question why during Durga Puja Bali is happening, because that is from the Shastras. In fact, 7th century, 8th century commentator, one of the greatest commentators from Eastern India, Raghunandan Bhatta, he mentions that Durga Upasana requires Bali. And what day it has to be given, what kind of Bali, all details are there. What mantras, in fact, there is a mantra that is chanted in the ear of the animal before the Bali is to be given. This is a mantra that is chanted on the Kharga of the Devi. The invocation of Devi is to be done. So she is known as Bali Priya. Bali Priya means, very simply, what it is taken for centuries in the areas where Vamachara is practiced, is that she likes Bali. Given that 60% of Hindus are anyway non-vegetarians, which is a very neutral, analysis report that came out. So to say that there should not be Bali is peak hypocrisy. I mean, it is actually offering and sanctifying the food that you are doing, that you are consuming. Earlier times in Bengal side, we used to have, for example, shops which sold non-vegetarian food. So when meat was sold, it was mostly mutton and goat meat, not chicken. Chicken is normally not offered. Mutton. These are all specified in text. So they used to have an installation or a vigraha or photo of Ma Kali, and the first animal used to be a bali to the Devi. So that it sanctifies into a prasad, like that.
Okay. What are we working towards here?